it's critical to our success, just not only to get different backgrounds and different people involved, but also to just expand that, I guess, that neural library of experiences and makes cybersecurity not only like accessible, but just applicable to our daily lives. We're becoming more and more integrated with technology in every process, everything from your shopping to your grocery list to your work to everything. It's just, working from home, shipping things across the world. So it's really important that we have everybody, all hands on deck, and everybody, as many people as we can, included in that discussion so that it's not at all cutting people out of resources or making it harder for people to get them, but definitely making it easier for people to get them, maybe making it easier for literacy to be, a thorough curriculum that everyone is taught at some point.
Hello, and welcome back to the Cybrary podcast. I'm your host, Will Carlson, Senior Director of Content here at Cybrary, and I have the distinct privilege today of being joined by two amazing guests that do wonderful work and have partnered with Cybrary as part of our Impact Hub. But Michaela Barnett and Arthur Pryor with Blacks in Cybersecurity. I will not even endeavor to tell the audience more about both of your backgrounds and history, and I'll get out of the way and let both of you do that. So, Michaela, Arthur, y'all can flip a coin for who goes first.
Sure. I guess I'll go first. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today with Cybrary. We love partnering with them and being a part of their Impact Hub. I'm Michaela Barnett. I'm the founder and executive director of Blacks in Cybersecurity Headquarters Incorporated, or Blacks in Cybersecurity. Today, we're excited to share with you our mission, our vision, where we're coming from, where we're headed, and how we can best integrate with holistically cybersecurity overall. So, without further ado, I'll also queue up for our director of operations, Arthur Pryor.
And hey, yeah, like Michaela mentioned, my name's Arthur. I am the director of operations for cybersecurity. So a lot of what I do is programs. So we have like a really great red team development program, speakers, mentorship, all the programs that Big offers to, better and help make our members more well-rounded. I kind of oversee all of that, make sure everything goes smoothly. But yeah, super excited to be here. Thanks, Cybrary, for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you both again for being here. I wonder if you could give us a little bit of the background about Blacks in Cybersecurity and what kind of caused your organization to be founded. What was the origin story here, and what's your organization's mission today?
Sure. So Blacks in Cyber started as a group of people. Pardon my cat; she might be meowing in the background. But Blacks in Cybersecurity, we started as a group of people. I started it with a group of college friends. We came to the DC metro area in search of knowledge, going to different B-sides or local conferences, and we just wanted to connect with other people who went to HBCUs or were also working in the Black community to help bridge gap of resources, and just other hobbyists and people who just were tinkers and wanted to explore. So one became two, two became four, and we kind of grew as this group chat that kind of transitioned to an organization. We were able to really just kind of conference hop and like meet people and then share PDFs or classes and class materials. So it was really exciting in those early days to just share stuff and, get to know one another. So with that, we had one of our first mini cons at Greenbelt, Maryland. I remember that. There maybe was like 40 to 30 of us crammed in a little room in the library, but that definitely just started like an amazing wave of just opportunity, knowledge sharing, learning from elders, and people just being able to connect. So it was really exciting. And from there, we were able to plan our first winter conference in February of 2020, right before quarantine. So it was really cool.
Yeah, so it's an interesting origin story, Michaela. I know Cybrary is one of our original offices was over in the Greenbelt area, so we have a
Cool.
similar background and comeuppance, as it were. That's really fun. Michaela? Did you expect at any point in time in those early years that you'd ever find yourself this busy with all of this work?
Definitely not. It's like now it's just more of a casual thing, and now we're kind of globe trotting and still kind of being that premier organization, spearheading and trying to find new creative ideas to like just bridge that gap and expose chankers and hackers in our community to the world and just show the world what we can do. So it's definitely been a whirlwind 5 years or coming up on 5 years, and I'm really excited on like, the things we're going to do next and the programs we're going to do. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, no, that's great. You've grown really fast in those 5 years, so fast, in fact, that you have a need for people like Arthur to do what it is he does every day, right?
Definitely. I honestly wish I could duplicate Arthur 2 or 3 times. Just
Yeah, hey, Michaela, maybe we should go to work on that. I know I've got a short list of folks on my side too that I'd love to duplicate and replicate, or on my team and in my life for sure. So I think we should try to tackle that one. I don't know though. That might take us out of cybersecurity now that I think about it. So I'll have to double check that one.
yeah.
Maybe Arthur, I'll pass it to you, or you can pass it back to Michaela to talk to us a little bit. Help me understand what Blacks in Cybersecurity's mission is today. So I understand where you came from and kind of how you got started, and it's grown really fast. So do you think, has BIC owned true to what you set out to do in the beginning? Has the mission expanded and grown over those 5 years? What is that like today?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, Blacks in Cyber, our mission is really just to increase the number of, Blacks, African Americans in the cybersecurity space. A lot of the current cyber community is not very diverse. So that was a need that we were definitely seeking to I guess remedy. Um, and I feel like that's been the mission since inception, and it's definitely still continues to be the mission. I think for me, Blacks in Cyber holds a very particular special place in my heart just because I was so positively impacted by the community and all the programs and everything that I had to offer. So I'm actually a career changer. So I wasn't always in cyber. I used to do a lot of like data analytics. I majored in stats in college, and that was kind of my thing. But as I got older, I realized that I was more so doing that work because I was good at it, and not necessarily because I enjoyed it. So I started thinking about switching into cyber, and I joined BIC, and it was just great. Everybody welcomed me in with open arms. I was able to network and meet a whole bunch of people. They provided a ton of resources, and it really proved instrumental in helping my career change. And now I'm a practicing cybersecurity professional. I'm working on the cloud security team at Walmart Global Tech, and I really don't think I could have done it without BIC.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. That's why it's so fun for me. Like I was a mentor on the Cybrary platform for a number of years before having the opportunity to come on full time. So, Arthur, I have a little bit of a similar background story myself and kind of how I got to Cybrary. But it's a huge part of the reason that it's so exciting for me personally that Cybrary is partnering with organizations like BIC because we just have so much, shared and in common in our objectives and what we want to accomplish. Um, you know, Providing opportunities for people to grow and upskill and get that mentorship and to continue to train and to Arthur, to your point, make career change is such a hugely impactful thing. And I think, from a cyber perspective, if we really are focused on trying to have a positive impact on the capacity and the capability in our market. And we believe that, what we do as a company and providing training is definitely part of it. But partnering with organizations like BIC is another huge piece of that because there's just, unfortunately, such a shortage in qualified people to take on roles in our space. So again, thank you both for the partnership. It's really exciting for me personally, and I know for Cybrary as well. And I wonder, let me ask a little bit of a pointed question, just for anybody that may not be putting the pieces together, which, at this point I'd like to think is a little bit impossible. But why, in both of your opinions, is diversity in cybersecurity so important and critical to our success as a field?
Yes. I definitely believe that it's critical to our success, just not only to get different backgrounds and different people involved, but also to just expand that, I guess, that neural library of experiences and makes cybersecurity not only like accessible, but just applicable to our daily lives. We're becoming more and more integrated with technology in every process, everything from your shopping to your grocery list to your work to everything. It's just, working from home, shipping things across the world. So it's really important that we have everybody, all hands on deck, and everybody, as many people as we can, included in that discussion so that it's not at all cutting people out of resources or making it harder for people to get them, but definitely making it easier for people to get them, maybe making it easier for literacy to be, a thorough curriculum that everyone is taught at some point. I could go on, but just for the betterment of our processes that are developing and just the betterment of our field.
Great. Arthur, anything from your perspective?
I definitely echo everything that Michaela said. I think she was spot on.
Yeah, for me, it's so interesting, right? The when we frame this in the view of what adversaries and threat actors are looking to do against all of our organizations, they're certainly not bringing the same old solutions all of the time, right? So I think, unfortunately, they'll use the same solution when it works all the time, but as soon as we come up with a diverse or a creative solution or a new way around what it is they're accomplishing, they're going to try to find another way around as well. So for myself, I think it's so important in our field that we have diverse points of view so that we have diverse solutions to solve a really complicated problem, or we're just never going to win. I wonder, in your experiences, how have you seen diversity really play into, as an industry, how we creatively solve those problems?
Yes, so I definitely believe that diversity helps us creatively solve those problems because I guess saying what I was saying earlier or reflecting on what I was saying earlier, we just need different perspectives. Like one person could literally be like, "Oh, you just move this over here," and then other people could be like cracking their head against it, like, "What do I do? How do I do this? How do I make it accessible?" So I just think that it's just a genuine need, especially now. It's just especially as we kind of expand and grow, it's something we're going to need to focus on and just build pipelines to, have in the infrastructure to keep it going as we build our processes as well.
Yeah, I'll completely agree. So I will admit I'm not as young now as I used to be, and there are a number of creative solutions on my team that come from people much younger than me that solve problems in a way that I would never never have considered. Just as a, not necessarily, I was the age they are at one point in time, so that's not necessarily a diversity of my background or my culture or society, but definitely a diversity at how old I was when technologies were around, and just the way that that can change our problem solving and our approach to solutioning has just in my career been really amazing. And I know even across my team and teams that I've been a part of, when the makeup of our teams are so much more diverse, the ways in which we creatively solve problems is just so much richer. Um, and so that's clearly an important part of it, right? Just the diversity, as a core pillar of what it is we're out to accomplish. But I think another thing that BIC really does is, great, there is absolutely that diversity concern, but we have to have people that are skilled and qualified to do the work that also help with the diversity piece. And I know BIC pours in a lot to, Arthur, some of what you were saying, making sure that members of BIC have access to experiences and other people to help them really hone their skills and their craft. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about that, about how that shows up for BIC and for BIC members.
I kind of feel like cybersecurity, a lot of it is really about being self-taught. Like technology is constantly evolving, and you really need to, stay on the forefront of, new developments as they occur. Um, and with that, you kind of have to be provided resources in order to teach yourself things. And then for me personally, when I was first getting started in cyber, like I had no idea. I didn't know Cybrary existed. I didn't really know too much about CompTIA and their training. I didn't know too much about anything. So, coming to BIC and then them providing like, hey, we can hook you up with a Cybrary subscription. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And, for the first month, I probably was on Cyber every day for like hours just because it was so amazing. And I was like, man, I didn't even know all of this existed. I think another big program that we have that was like truly influential for me was our Red Team Development Program. So I was definitely interested in the red teaming aspect of things, and coming to BIC and being able to meet, people who are actually practicing penetration testers, red teamers, and kind of talk to them and pick their brain and see, what do they think, like what works, what doesn't work, what should I be studying, and then also to be provided access to, resources and materials to hone my red teaming expertise. I think that was like phenomenal. But like I said, it goes honestly beyond the technical aspect. So
Mm.
BIC, we also have a public speaking program series where we kind of take some of our members and teach them how to give talks at conferences. And I'm like, that's like a critical skill that is not technical, but is super important. Being able to convey your findings, talk about the different things that you do, that you plan to do, that you have done. I think that's super important. So, yeah, I think, from a programmatic standpoint, BIC really is doing a great job. And I have personally benefited, and I hope that anybody who joins BIC will also see the tremendous value that I saw in it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, right? It's so interesting in this field. People on the outside, I think, often think that cybersecurity is a very technical field and that that's the only way to get into it. But, and Arthur, the red team side of it definitely tends to be one of the more technical
Yeah.
of the subdomains, right? But so interesting, the public speaking, the giving talks, that I know in talking with other cybersecurity leaders how important it is that communication skills are really, really strong for cybersecurity professionals. So hats off to Vic for really leaning into that. And I'd love to dig in a little bit with you both about cybersecurity is not just a technical career field. How have you both kind of see that show up? What encouragement would you have for people wanting to get into cybersecurity, or particular people of color that want to break into cybersecurity that may say, "Oh, well, I'm not a technical person. Cybersecurity is not for me."
Well, I would definitely say, kind of touching base, like with what we talked about before. Like, there's more. Firstly, there's more resources other than like a book or a pamphlet to help you get in, especially with Cybrary and with YouTube and any other platform. Like, everything's so accessible now, especially post quarantine where it kind of had to be. So it's just a lot more accessible for communities that don't necessarily have a public library or, a place where people can necessarily, go. Like, you can actually just find everything online. You can find communities online, resources. So I think that's really an impactful yet necessary, addition to our society post quarantine. And I think that kind of reflects in our community as well. So, firstly, with those resources. Secondly, for those transitioning, there's communities out there specifically for people transitioning. We have one.
Mhm.
There's resources and courses for transitioning folk. I feel like anything that you've done prior can be applicable to cybersecurity. You could be a plumber and work in cyber just because you understand, like, the method as far as problem solving and troubleshooting and having that transferable skill. You could be a teacher, or you could be someone who worked with paperwork and you utilize those skills in compliance and policy. There's so many transferable skills, from, I guess, the outside world into cyber, that I think that it just helps not just diversify the field, but also have that or solve that disparity economically, because it's a career change you can make with pre-existing skills.
Yeah, no, that's great. I know I can think of off the top of my head a number of teachers that have broken into the field. I can think of a conversation I had here probably a year ago with someone that came into cybersecurity from library sciences, which you wouldn't think would make sense, but just the way they approach cataloging and storing of information, and she's now in cyber threat intelligence, right? So it's like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. So I think really interesting. There are tons of non-technical roles that you can get into in the cybersecurity field that, again, Michaela, to your point, there are lots and lots of transferable skills. So my encouragement for people is always to find a community. They'll help you out. They'll help you along the way. Make sure that you're making good, efficient use of your time and avoiding some potential pitfalls. It can be a lot to take in, right? Cybersecurity is a huge field, and I find, at least from in my past, a lot of some of the struggle people have is they spend a lot of time accidentally wasting time. But coming alongside organizations like BIC, the Cybrary community, can really, really help people make good, efficient use of their time and really help them hone the skills that they need to break into the field. Arthur, to your point, it's not something that most people do particularly fast, but when you have a good guide, it certainly speeds things up. I wonder if either of you have any insight that you can share with the audience about, what's next in 2023 for Blacks in cybersecurity, or the cybersecurity industry at large, that you think people should be kind of looking out for or preparing for.
Definitely. I definitely say at Big HQ, we definitely are cooking up new things, new programs, and new ways to kind of just, be present. We're really excited for our DEF CON Village this year, and we're really excited for our winter conference. It'll be happening in a few weeks, with a meetup in the DC metro area. So we're really just happy to bring back some of our pre-quarantine traditions and also integrate those with our post-quarantine happenings. So we're really excited about that. We're further reinforcing and re-infrastructuring our online community for our members. And, we're just just, watching the cyber landscape. We're really excited to get involved with new and upcoming technologies. So, for example, we're excited to kind of explore AI. Chat GPT is definitely really popular now. and see what we can do as far as getting people, familiar with new processes and seeing where that goes this year.
That's great. Arthur, what about you? What's on your mind as we start tiptoeing into 2023?
Yeah, I think Michaela said it already, but I think Chat GPT is going to be crazy. I've been playing around with it a lot at work, and it's really powerful. And this is, I really think, going to be just the start of just the beginning. And I think that the implications of such powerful AI for cybersecurity is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Like I've already seen people posting different use cases, majority from the red team side, honestly, but like it can make really, really good phishing emails. Like really, really well crafted, like would even trick me. And I'm on the lookout for these sorts of things. So it's just like stuff like that. Super powerful with the code review. So I don't know. Like I said, I work in cloud, so like a lot of our stuff is like infrastructure as code, and I can tell Chat GPT like, hey, what am I doing wrong here? Like, do this for me in Azure, and it can make it happen. And I just think that's like, yeah, it's incredibly powerful. I think this AI is definitely the future. That's what I have on my radar, at least.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I know when who he lovingly refers to himself as Cybrary's chief thief, but Matthew Mullins, our adversary emulator on the team, uh, the, the first thing he thought is, "Ooh, better phishing emails," because he definitely knows the pain in the neck that it is, even on a red team engagement, to write really smart and crafty phishing emails. Like he also recounts the point of you get all the way up to sending that first phishing email and you just hope somebody clicks on it because you've done all the prep to set up this red team engagement. And if nobody clicks on your email because it's just no good, it all got wasted really, really fast. So I know he was really excited about the potentials of ChatGPT for helping him to craft some really good phishing emails for sure. I know that ChatGPT is an interesting one to bring up. I won't dwell on it too much because it's not the topic for today. But you definitely see people in the cybersecurity space with mixed opinions about it. But I think, Arthur, kind of similar to you, that um, it's getting people talking, right? And the more it surfaces the discussion around the cybersecurity community and the more it puts our eyeballs on that kind of emerging tech, probably the better, would you say?
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah. Lots to come for things like continued improvement in ChatGPT and a number of others as well. Um, I guess again, in the spirit of, we're starting 2023. I know a lot of people have New Year's resolutions. They've decided that they want to do something different with their careers or their lives. So, what advice would you both give to folks that are looking to step into cybersecurity in 2023?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice that I could give somebody looking to get into cybersecurity is to really hone in on what exactly it is in cybersecurity that you are interested in.
Mm.
What a lot of people don't realize is that cybersecurity is a super broad term, and it encompasses so many different careers. um, and you really want to develop a skill set that's going to be beneficial to the role that you are looking to pursue. So I think, for example, like if you really want to be, I don't know, governance risk and compliance analyst, like you probably don't need to spend too much time figuring out how to craft payloads and, make reverse shells and stuff like that, right? Because you're not going to use those skills. You're not going to use them as a GRC analyst. So I think like really the first step for anybody looking to transition into cyber is, take a look on Cybrary, look on YouTube, and just get exposure to the different career fields that encompass cybersecurity and pick one. Which one did you think was the coolest? And if that happens to be digital forensics, if it happens to be exploit development, whatever, you now you can start building skills in that particular industry. So I think that would be my number one thing. Pick what you want and then just go at it full force.
Yeah, I think that's really great. That's really interesting advice from you, Arthur, based on your story, right? So you had a statistics degree. Like, first of all, where were you when I was taking stats? I wish I had known. um, but yeah, no, really interesting, right? For somebody that has changed careers, that to notice that cybersecurity is such a big field, and you could, even within cyber, you could find yourself doing work that you just didn't end up caring a whole lot about if you weren't careful.
Yep.
Michaela, what's on your mind? What advice would you have for somebody wanting to break into cybersecurity in 2023?
I would definitely say, like, leverage your social media, whatever social media you're on. I know that over quarantine, like LinkedIn, kind of blew up as far as people microblogging and sharing resources, or even classes that they made and giving out free codes, or first 50 people free. So I would definitely like leverage LinkedIn and connect with people who are doing what you'd like to do, and people who create content and coursework, because you never know. That's definitely a great place to get just on the cutting edge as far as like what people are talking about or what people are learning. And also InfoSec Twitter, even though most people move to Mastodon. So you may want to, leverage both. But there's lots of people tweeting free resources or having really interesting conversations that you can peek in on and pick up some knowledge, or, just a new thing to learn. So that's really exciting too. I don't see you very much on Instagram, but definitely just leveraging your social media, because you're scrolling through it anyway, whenever you're sitting down or driving. Well, not while you're driving, but like, whenever you're doing whatever you're doing, just leverage the basics. You can do social media, or if you're a reader, you can pick up books from No Starch Press, or other like independent publishers. So or if you have a tablet or a smartphone, you can download your Cybrary app or YouTube and leverage those things, and just kind of integrate learning daily into your daily routine, and then you'll see a lot more happen over a longer period of time.
I'll say as we're coming to down to the end of the episode in our chat today that I am super impressed that both of you and all of the answers that you've given, and all of the advice that you've provided, even what you just shared, Michaela, like, um, so many of those things are things that BIC actually does as part of BIC membership, right? So, hats off to both of you for what you're doing in BIC, to help provide experiences that really amplify all of that. Arthur, you mentioned the mentorship and actually talking to people doing roles, and just so many things in the conversation today I can think of are like, well, that's them doing exactly what it is that they're saying that they do. So I would encourage anybody in the audience that wants to connect, particularly well, I guess let me ask this question, Michaela, maybe for you. Is Blacks in Cybersecurity DC only, or do you have other chapters in other parts of the country?
Actually, so our headquarters region is in the DC metro area, but in your local area, there may be an ambassador that's hosting and like gathering up people for their local chapter or their local campus. And campuses are either college campuses, community colleges, or larger campuses, and then there's high schools as well. So we're kind of rebuilding and reinforcing our ambassador program, and our new global ambassador lead, Michael Brown, will be able to kind of curate everybody and help relaunch that. So we're really excited to have those back.
Yeah, that's great. That's super amazing. So, if you're interested in getting into cybersecurity and you feel like BIC may be a good fit for you, I'm sure go to the BIC website, check it out, see if there's a local chapter. And I mean, I can promise everybody listening that all the things that Michaela and Arthur were talking about today, if it was something that they said, they were very humble in their presentation of it, but you can pretty much guarantee that these are things that they both feel strongly enough about that they're going to show up in the programming that's available for members of BIC. I guess just to make sure I'm not out of line, Michaela, Arthur, am I wrong in any of that, or was I totally on base?
No, you bullseye, bingo, you got it.
Yeah, so it's no mystery here that what we've talked about, the answers that they gave today are things that they feel really, really strongly about. So much so that, to Michaela's point, 5 years in, never would have imagined that she would end up here, but this is where we are, where you're at with BIC, and all of those things that they said are important. You can pretty much guarantee they're going to show up in the programming for BIC members. So I encourage everybody listening, if you want to break into cybersecurity in 2023, my recommendation is find an organization like BIC, find a platform like Cybrary that can help support you in that mission, because it's so much better when you can go with peers and with friends to help you along the way. Michaela, Arthur, thank you so much for joining us today for the podcast. Excited about continued partnership with Blacks in Cybersecurity, and super excited about all the things that BIC is going to do in 2023. I'm looking forward to having you back on the podcast next year, and we can talk about all the amazing things that BIC accomplished in 2023. Thank you both.
Yeah, thanks for having us.